Thank you much, Charmer. We'll check in with you after this matchup. Another best of 3, of course, and we're getting right into these bans. Cloud9 on the blue side, Immortals on the red side to kick things off. Galio for Cloud9, Senna for Immortals. We have not seen any Senna today, I don't think, have we? She's been banned every single time.
She's not allowed to. The teams have recognized, they've dropped the ego. We're like, okay, we're just not even going to allow this champion to come on through. We haven't found an answer to it, and it is just not worth having to deal with it. Yeah, you can find some wins against it, but why do we want to take the chance? It just allows so many degenerate strategies in the Dragon lane. It's fine to just get rid of. And Immortals wanting to focus on Cloud9's Dragon lane, the big ticket for them consistently amongst all their games. The most likely chance that they have to win for Cloud9 is through this Dragon lane, where Jackie has looked fantastic in every single one of their games. So glad that they're focusing that. What else can we get out from them?
And very, very smart call to have Varus as the second ban in this one. Senna is generally the first. Varus, like I said, should be incredibly high priority. Immortals recognizing just how strong of a Dragon laner this one is and how powerful it becomes coming into the late game of the team fight stage. Xin Zhao might be the final ban here from Immortals. They're hovering it, trying to consider whether or not it's something that will actually be picked up here by Cloud9. They are going to ban that one away.
What's your first pick? You've got Gragas, who can play it in multiple roles like we already saw. You've got Camille, which is still a favorite for Zello if you're going to be able to pick it up. What is their read? You can also maybe pick up Corki. Not as strong, but we're seeing it again. Teams wanting to prioritize Ziggs. We didn't see a lot of it last night, but it seems like it's back on the radar. All of the teams, when they came in for the captain's call today, they were like, hey, why didn't you guys play Ziggs? Well, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you. It's like, okay, well, we're going to start taking that champion again. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, it went through a lot yesterday. And we actually had Gragas come through a lot yesterday, too. So to see Gragas picked up, I mean, in maybe every single one of these games that we've had today, or at least banned a part of the pick ban phase in general. So has kind of resurfaced here as a primary pick. Both of these last major were the staple picks right off the bat, and looks like they're making their resurgence. It's a Nami, speaking of surges, the Nami that's going to be locked in right there. And, you know, Charm really, really popped off on that Nami in the last matchup just a bit ago.
Was also getting caught out a little bit. We saw a couple of flashes, a couple of... they were playing really close to the chest on whether or not they were going to be able to survive on some of those. But Cloud9, what is your response? They're going to pick the Thresh. Where is Smax? I need to ping Smax immediately. We need to get him on here right now because he is the biggest Thresh fan. And I talked about it yesterday, but this champion is not as much of a lane bully. And I wonder what they're going to be able to do. What is Shaded Talent going to be able to pull off on the Thresh here? Because I'm going to be a huge critic. I know Smax is going to be as well. This is the first time we've seen Thresh, so it should be fun.
It should be fun, and you know, I love me some Xayah. You know that. And that kind of leaves, you know, having Xayah with this Thresh allows them a little bit more leeway. Allows them, you know, they're not going to have priority likely in the early part of the game. But that's okay, because Xayah's going to be able to lay down those feathers. She's going to be able to get the blade collars down and at least get the damage and, you know, some roots so that they have the potential to move on later on. So that's all right. I love the Xayah. She's a safe but very powerful pick. And Thresh is just going to add to that power if Cloud9 is going to be able to really kick this one off in their direction. That can be huge for them later on, especially having the box as the game continues. But it'll be a Corki who's going to be up against the Ziggs likely in the mid lane for Immortals.
I like this because right now Thresh is just such a great answer into the rest of what Immortals wants to do. Some low range champions where not only the box, but in this game, it differs a little bit from his PC counterpart. Death Sentence is basically, you just never pick that ability is just like you know, it's cool if you got Death Sentence. If you got the hook, that's awesome. But you're mostly looking for the Flay and the Lantern. Everybody moves so fast. There's a ton of movement abilities in this game. So hook is basically guaranteed to never land. The Flay slow is so massive, as well as the box. It is important for them to know when you're playing Thresh, you're trying to max out on one of these two abilities. And we'll have to see what ends up happening. Cloud9, they got their last pick here. It's going to have to be for the jungle. Olaf is still available, but they're going to return to what we saw yesterday, the Jax.
Locking in that Jax, another powerful pick. A lot of crowd control that's offered on this Cloud9 team, as well as a lot of heavy damage to back it up. So certainly looking for, the longer range fights, the longer lasting fights as well. Being able to get Darius and Jax hopping onto the back line, keeping Ziggs and Xayah safe, and then Thresh just trying to, get in some plays, throw some lanterns out. Then on the other side for Immortals, I really like this Cloud9 composition. However, Immortals has picked up the Graves again. We've actually seen that Yikes has been one of the few people to make that a really successful pickup. And the Ezreal, who we've seen Goom on before, pop off very, very well. Nami Ezreal is a great combination. They have a lot of mobility on the side of Immortals. So their whole goal is going to be to try to fancy foot around all of this long range stuff from Cloud9, which will allow them to initiate. And then Cloud9 is going to have to try to scatter. So I like both concepts. They're both really trying to shut each other down. Those final picks, specifically focused on the top 3 picks. So I love the recognition and the adaptability that both of these teams are showing us.
Immortals picked Graves, and Cloud9 turned into Michael Jordan, and they've got their little pin. I took that personally. They took my champion. They took my Graves. If there's anybody to know what the Graves counter is going to be, it has to be Tarzan. This guy has so many games on Graves, not only on PC, but now on Wild Rift. And Jax most recently did get a change to try and give him a little bit more ability to show up in the laning phase. But now in the jungle, I want to see what Cloud9 can pull off here, because you've got a lot of physical damage. And Ziggs, so far what we've seen from Cloud9, Meals has done fantastic of kind of having really great roam timers of, hey, this is when I can go to another lane. This is when I can Mega Inferno Bomb. And Cloud9 have been very, what is the word I'm looking for? Really good in coordinating their dives when they're ahead. And I think some of these champions that they picked, like the Thresh and the Ziggs, make that such a dream to work for.
This is gonna be a fun game. I'm actually anticipating that we're gonna get a 2-1. I'm really hoping that we're gonna get a 2-1 on this one. Not just because I think this is our last matchup for the day, for us at least, before Smax and Rafa hop on. But also just because, I like both these teams. They've got some cheeky picks. Both sides are, it's a little squishy on the side of Immortals, quite squishy. But a lot of initiation, a lot of attempts at counter picks here from Cloud9. So this is by far the most exciting draft that I have seen for myself personally, at least for what I've been casting so far for this major, because this one can really go either way. Yeah, I'm leaning towards Immortals just in terms of their mechanics and overall gameplay style to be kind of a step up above Cloud9. But I really like the way that both of these teams are thinking about how they can overtake the other potentially if they fall behind, or how to get ahead early on.
I'll just be honest, I'm a Graves hater. I hate this champion. This champion is actually super useless. I'm okay with Cloud9 taking this game. I agree, I would like to see a series go a little bit the distance, or copy paste the last series and have a game where we're actually reaching 25 minutes potentially on a Wild Rift game.
Yep.
Never before seen on that one. But if we're gonna have shorter games, I want to see them kind of show some different things, because really what we're seeing is how well can we play some of these comps that are relatively similar. We've seen a ton of Corki, same thing with Ziggs, Gragas as well. It is mostly execution based, and Cloud9, I don't know. I kind of just want to see if they can pull this off. If they can pull off Thresh, oh my god, we're gonna just all of the validation for this champion it'll be a rush of dopamine for me.
It's going to be a spicy one, but they're not kicking it off. It's like a lot of the other games that we saw here today. A little more trepidation. No cheesy bush plays to try to get that early first blood or to try to get some summoner spells out. Just standard starts for everyone here.
It's game one.
Yeah.
They may be feeling a little bit wary. Cloud9 have had time to watch Immortals. They've had time to kind of sit back, relax, and calm down for it. Hook goes a little bit wide. This is basically what solo queue looks like for Thresh. Every time I play with Smax, he throws a hook, and I'm like, okay, if it would have landed, it would have been really cool to see. But already seeing some roams, Shaded Tails knows that this wave is going to crash, knows that Ezreal and them do not have much kill threat. So making a movement over to the mid lane, like the proactivity that we're seeing from the support role, but sitting on a ward the entire time.
Yeah, you gotta You got to give credit where credit's due, but luckily there wasn't a lot of time wasted on that one. You know, that's the really big downside is if the enemy team is like, oh, let's just make sure that they have no idea that we're where they're in that bush and try to waste as much experience and gold for that player to get. Not going to waste very much here, though. Immortals finding a bit of an early lead. They do have some priority. Obviously, we talked about it before the game started here in the bottom lane. It's going to be a tough start for Jackie and Talent. But once this game gets longer, if they're able to land one of these hooks, if they're able to get that box in as soon as they hit level 5 and follow that up with a blade collar from Jackie, they're going to be sitting nice and pretty. And that was a close one. All right, Alk, you got to give them that.
Yeah, that one's the attempt. But again, for everybody at home, if you're prospective, if you're trying to say like, oh, should I maybe play Thresh? Do not use Q. Do not use the first ability, the death sentence, unless you know for a fact that that person is permanently stunned for a few seconds.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you're going to have that happen. We're just throwing whiffs. You're not going to be able to get all that much. And right now, Yikes is actually in a really awkward position when it comes to the jungle right now. Was not able to get the Krugs, whereas Tarzane, who has been known throughout their competitive history in Wild Rift to be ones to cross the river, pick up some more of those jungle camps away from the enemy opponent, and has really kind of had a lean path. There's not much wasted, not going for any unnecessarily dives like we just saw in the Dragon lane, trying to cover for their laners, just going straight to pathing, getting straight into the jungle, picking up gold, has a small victory. But a lot of that gold lead that we're seeing right now is, I mean, it's only about 200, only about 100, but I mean, like that just means it's so close right now between these two teams.
Yep, they're playing it pretty safe, you know? We're 3 minutes, 20 seconds in. No commits for any kills, any real dives, anything like that. Just trying to farm up and wait for the opportunity to find something. And yeah, I gotta say, man, the Thresh icon still throws me off. I'm just so not used
It's
to it.
unbound.
Yeah, I know it's unbound, but it's like, man, I don't look at that and see Thresh at all. Right? It is a pretty skin. I do, yes, it is a pretty skin, but you know, that's okay. We've got Shaded Talent trying to show up on this one. Might be able to find a death sentence. Is not going to look for it though. Gets the smoke screened out. So it's a turnaround from Cloud9, and still just really moving forward with a lot of hesitance, trepidation. We've got the Dragon and the Rift Herald having just spawned here now at 4 minutes. Looks like a bit of a meeting or a rendezvous in the mid lane is where we're going to find some action.
There's a small level discrepancy between the mid laners here, as Hoon backed a little too early to try and grab this package. Guys, we don't actually have to fight for the Rift Herald. We can just go and pick up the Dragon, but we're ignoring those warnings.
The death sentence comes through. Going to follow it up with a tidal wave, followed up with a barrage as well. Rakizoro flashes forward, and on the other side, you have the Valkyrie being used to the Corki. Who can pick one of those up? Rakizoro gets blade collared there. Jackie had to use the heal, and Shaded Talent managed to barely stay alive. But that means the Immortals are going to get this Rift Herald.
They get the Rift Herald, and we'll have to see what happens. Can a Rakizoro recall in time? Look at what they're doing in this Baron lane. Observers, if we could take a look at this, that is a massive wave that is crashing currently on that turret. And that should just be first turret. 5 minutes into the game, they're going to give up the first early Drake, but without even using the Rift Herald. This is a large amount of gold that I don't know if the side of Cloud9 will try to come back from. They're going to need a few kills. They're going to need to really get ahead of the ball when it comes to taking these turrets. Ziggs needs to have some more of that utility. When we're talking about Ziggs, not only is that big burst of damage coming out, we're also thinking that that satchel explosive, taking out turrets, being able to just disable them. But off to an early objective. I like this from IMT. I wonder where they're going to use the Rift Herald. They're going to try to break open the mid turret or influx a lot of gold to some of these other members.
Charm trying to keep Tarzane right there, and it's going to be the rest of them. The Valkyrie comes through. Jackie forced to flash away after using the Feather Storm. Tarzane is like, sorry, Jackie, I'm out. I can't help you much more than running away and try to see if we can outrun Immortals. That means Rift Herald's going to come out on the bottom. They're going to find their second tower already, less than a minute after the first.
Immortals with a flawless first 6 minutes of the game. They are taking so many objectives. They gave up the Drake, but in terms of a trade, I'm loving this start for Immortals. They got a second turret trade, or second plate there themselves. Putting a lot of damage onto Hoon. I like the predict for meals, but a little ambitious there. Whoa, okay, they definitely going for a few predicts onto the Ziggs.
A bubble onto Tarzane, though. Gonna be a nice little flay back. The box, one wall breaks down for Yikes. And in jumps the Grandmaster with the leap strike. Zoro might be dead, might not be dead right
Gunplate's
there.
broken.
Does
There it
have,
is.
yeah, has the passive, still has the Drunken Rage available to try to recover a little bit.
Okay, well, they got a little bit greedy. As soon as I cast a curse it, Immortals give over a kill, but they are still sitting mad comfortable in this game, Jolly. They don't really have to worry about much. Baron lane, like, yes, Zello got some gold, but unless Zello, we need to see a pretty sick performance from them. And since they haven't really itemized for the Rocket Belt, instead going for the Stone Plate, I think it's going to be a difficult ask if I look at Darius to really try to get into the face of someone like an Ezreal, a Nami, and a Corki. This is all going to be predicated on if certain members of IMT misposition and Cloud9 can look to punish, which you see right here. They're trying to stay in fog, trying to bait members in against Meals, and have Shaded Talent sit here with the Thresh.
Ultimate is going to help push out this mid lane since they do have the Baron Tower and the Dragon Tower, including some damage onto the Inhibitor Tower, the second tier tower there on the Dragon side. All they want now is to push some pressure here in the mid lane, and if they could get a mid tower before Cloud9 is able to, you know, catch up here, try to find their own second, then at that point you're going to see a lot of map control go in favor of Immortals, and it's going to be very difficult for members like Zello and Tarzan to find successful jumps on the enemy.
That is the big question here for Cloud9. Who is engaging for this team? Are you waiting for a Thresh Hook? You're waiting for Jackie to land some kind of Blade Caller that'll change the game? They don't have something like a Gragas where he can just jump in front and do something.
The best they've got. Counter-Strike, Leap Strike is really the best kind of initiation they've got.
Yeah. And then at that point, like, if he jumps in, Rocky Zoro just hits him with the basketball, and boom, he's gone. We need a basketball Gragas, by the way. It may not fit with the drinking part, but you maybe have it like a jug of like, wait, we do have that. Wait, that's literally just a soccer skin. What am I talking about? He actually just has a Gatorade jug. That's correct. Okay, never mind.
You're right.
We're going to see a reset 20 seconds. I just want one where it's a basketball so that when he... It doesn't really make sense if he throws the jug at you, I guess, but like, if it was a basketball, it's actually a Kobe. For Gragas.
Would be. I mean, you've already got the Dunk Master, though, you know? Can you take that away from Darius?
We got... Oh, we don't... I'm actually sad because we have Dunk Master Ivern, but we don't have like a rival Dunk Master Garen skin. Here we go. Immortals. It's time for Dragon. They've got Corki Package and they've got him on the flank. They're trying to zone out. I like this use of the flay.
And there you go. It's going to be a redemption tidal wave on top of it. The package goes out, but a lot of damage comes through from that barrage from Ezreal.
They got it again.
Double kill, though, going over to Meals. A flash forward by Iraqi Zoro. Will he find one? Almost going down for Iraqi Zoro. The Blade Caller does a lot of damage and manages to keep them alive. Oh, Jackie will go down. There's a flash. There's another flash from Goom and a flash of response from Meals, who's going to charge. Managed to get the pick up there in Charm. Now has to run away as the last member alive. You got to try to maybe do something here. Oh, Charm will survive. Meals thought that was going to be the kill right there. Charm, you need to walk farther back.
Charm. The blue buff out of combat healing is doing so much for them. They're just getting so much HP. Okay, don't tank the turret now, guys. But they grabbed the dragon there. And big thing to note was that Hoon tried to come in with the package, and while it only really hit Shaded Talent after pushing him aside into it, that could have been a massive turn for them. Cloud9, they're trying to stack as many Drakes as possible, considering how close a lot of these fights are. Usually when we're at this point, you see the gold lead, you're like, you know, it should be close, but most of the times one team just completely controls the map. Cloud9 are still staying even in a lot of these fights. Jax's Counter-Strike is unanswerable in a lot of cases against IMT. And you're seeing the counter engage from them. It's looking good, but they need to be able to hold on, and they need to kind of turn these into successful fights for them. Goom, I don't know about that one. That
was a shift forward. You're going to get hit by the Mega Inferno Bomb, and that is absolutely done for you. Meal's going to find another one there. Jackie has to back away, taking too much damage. Charm is going to get flashed on by Tarzan. Manages to barely stay alive. No way. Okay, that Counter-Strike was absolutely beautiful, but the red buff will be enough burn to take him down. Immortals find themselves the one, but lose two members of their own.
Goom just wanting to remind us what happened in the first major. A lot of it was some Lucian play from them, and I distinctly remember them dashing over a blue buff wall and dying instantly. So wanting to make sure, hey, nostalgia, it's kind of like the double lift with versus Victor moment. Um, they just wanted to recreate a highlight moment where you're shifting forward as a marksman and you instantly regret it.
Yep, and that was, I mean, that seemed like a misclick. Like, that absolutely seemed like a misclick to me. It's not as though Goom wanted to move in because I mean, it was right on top of an enemy player. Yes, you had somebody in the bush there, but at the same time, you don't shift on top of someone, whether or not you're trying to attack them, because you've got so much ability with the missed shot, with just getting your autos in there. To see if they can get enough damage here onto this tower. The Super Mega Death Rocket comes through, but doesn't land on anyone. Immortals a little bit farther back there, and they're still just trying to gain pressure on this mid lane. They really, really want to take down this mid lane tower, but they're going to have to respond down here on the Dragon side. It looks like that's going to be Iraqi Zoro's job.
Who's answering? Yeah, I mean, like, he can't really answer the Jax. I like what Cloud9 are doing, and it's kind of showing some of the shortstops of the Immortals team composition, where they don't have a lot of punch threat when it comes to sieging onto these turrets. Jax is a competent side laner, same thing with something like a Darius, whereas, I mean, Gragas is your front line. Do you really want him to try and split push against the Jax? He's always going to slowly lose that matchup. You want to be able to activate him elsewhere. So, and the wave clear, again, I mean, you're just seeing it. They're just investing a lot of small things like the Mega Death Rock, or not Mega Death Rock, the Super Inferno Bomb, and it just clears the wave instantly, and Immortals have to wait another 15 seconds for a wave to come through. Dragon 3 spawning. Are Cloud9 going to yet again steal this from the clutches of IMT? Or are Immortals kind of going to put their foot down and say, look, you guys are not taking this one too. This one's ours.
It's only 3K, you know, it's not a huge lead at all. We're at 13 and a half minutes. Immortals is definitely going to try to stop this one out, though. Cloud9 looking for their third dragon. It is so much damage coming through right there from Immortals, and that just goes to show you that, yeah, they're a squishy team, but the whole point is to try to, you know, get as much out of the enemy team as possible and find that follow-up, that initiation. Heals is going to get hit there by that one. Goom not able to follow up on that second ability to be able to get the extra damage onto the tower with an auto. Zello looking for something. Same thing with Shaded Talent on one side. A shift away by Goom means that they're going to have to go back and protect their own mid tower now.
Ziggs is so cool. Look at what he's doing. He's just permanently clearing the mid lane. Doesn't even matter. We're letting waves on the Baron lane just completely kill each other. The Dragon lane is like the closest thing to any kind of action we're seeing from either one, where Tarzane on this Jax is kind of taking a step back, trying to sit in Fog of War and slowly push this wave to try and force Immortals to answer. But anytime Immortals want to try and get this mid turret, Ziggs just goes, no, not happening, and just bombs the wave away. It's got to be so annoying for Immortals, with especially how low range their composition can be. Gets the flash out of Charm there. It must have been a sick hook from Shaded Talent.
Yeah, we did miss that one. Still, all other summoner spells up and available. I mean, across the board, C9 has everything except for a couple of ultimates. A nice bubble there from Charm is going to get some damage off on to Jackie. But it looks like, once again, C9 positioning themselves, poising themselves for a potential initiation, and it's enough to set off Immortals' mental. They keep going in. Looks like they're going in like, oh, we're going to be aggressive, and then Cloud9 is like, all right, step up. And Immortals kind of considers, maybe we don't want to do that. It's starting to turn into a bit of a mind game.
They're just kind of just completely disengaging them at every single point right now. So you're seeing it time and time again, where it's this weird cycle where Cloud9, they clear out the mid lane, they have Goom and Charm here, they have to make this play into Zello. I like this. Do something. Upset the balance on the map.
They are going to do that.
Okay,
it might take
TP.
3 members. A flash away as the TP comes through for Tarzane. The Valkyrie to run away. There is the Mega Inferno Bomb. The Death Sentence will not hit, but Shaded Talent is there
Shaded
now.
Talent?
Trying to get damage down, and that barrage is not going to land. Charm will fall to Tarzane. That will also be a Corki going down to Niels, and what looked like a potentially good initiation by Immortals to pick out one solo member. Cloud9 immediately reacted and made that their fight.
They take way too long to find this kill, so good job, and props to going to Zello for staying alive that long. And this is just right now, Immortals practicing insanity. Oh, Meal so low. Should be red buff, but the Zhonya's proc means he won't go down. So good, and they still cannot get this mid lane. They are trying hard as they can. They're not able to find this Jackie.
Oh
no.
Yikes.
Wait, he got the kill.
Down there. There was a kill onto Meals. It's a nice shutdown, a very good chunk of golds. I'm sure Meals, I think, was godlike before that, so had a very juicy bounty on the head. But Cloud9 was able to end a few of those themselves, and now we're looking at a lot of gold on the board right now. 56 and 57, or almost 58,000. That's a lot of objective focus. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of towers down. But both teams are really trying to find as much as they possibly can to stop the other from getting that lead, turning that lead into a snowball here. And finally, they managed to get the third tower. Immortals have been trying to get that one down for like the last 10 minutes. And Cloud9 has at least kind of stalled it out a bit. They managed to find their own 2 towers in the Baron and the Dragon lane, and they do have some damage onto this mid lane turret.
So important there that it took them an additional 10 extra minutes to try and grab this mid lane turret. Would have been kind of backbreaking for the side of Immortals, the side of Cloud9, if that were able to be the case. But we're back at Elder. They're trying to fish out Shaded Talent in a little bit of a forward position to try and find someone, but this is, again, battle for mid lane priority, and Ziggs does such a great job at that. Goom barely the apprehend misses. Hook.
That's going to be the hook. The tidal wave in response. So much damage out of the backside.
Jackie's dead.
The exploding cast
Look
right
at the
there.
burn.
Jax, Tarzan going in with the ultimate as well. It's going to be another kill for Tarzan, who's almost dead. Ends up going down.
No.
Boom, so very low. The heal will come through. Barely staying alive. And that's 4 members still up for Immortals. 3 that lost their lives for Cloud9. That means that Immortals should be able to find themselves with this Elder.
Oh my god, Hoon with a god-sent package there. Completely saves the game. You see right there, Jackie gets knocked under turret, gets hit with the burn, and some incidental damage. They're going to try and stop Meals from stealing this one. They do not want Ziggs doing anything. Chase the poor Yordle out, knock him up.
Oh, wait, that was a lot of damage. That was a lot of responding damage there, thanks to the ultimate from Ezreal and the True Shot Barrage. But hey, that's how much power Ziggs has right now. That's how much strength Meals has, just able to throw down the Mega Death Rocket, or the Mega Inferno Bomb, and that's it.
There you go.
GG. Too many Megas.
Every single time we've seen it, it feels like deja vu, where it's the same place in the Dragon lane where Meals is just about to die, and he's like, no, call an ambulance, but not for me. You're dead. Someone's going down. I'm taking someone down with me. And right now, it is Immortals trying to posture on the Baron. They find a pick onto Yikes. That's his flash.
That is his flash out. The box comes out as well. It's a lot of damage onto Zello. Tries to frontline this one. True Shot Barrage doing a pretty good job at 2. Rekizoro trying to find an opening onto this fight. It's going to be the Jax who goes in. The tidal wave pops up 2 or 3 of them. Rekizoro gets popped up there on the side. You have Graves able to find one. Nami finds another. A nice split fight from Immortals, but Cloud9 did not have any control over where their aggression went. That's 40 seconds.
Not able to carry this.
40 seconds. This is the game. This should be the game for Immortals. There's no reason they cannot close it out right now. That ace they killed almost every single member in the exact same second. Look at those numbers counting down on the left-hand side. A beautiful play from Immortals to lock themselves in here for game number 1.
That was, look at how much damage Goom did in that last one, because they were trying to lock down Ezreal so much. Look at the damage. Just look at the gold right there, right? You're looking at someone like Yikes to be able to pump out the damage, and a lot of it comes from the survivability. This is a really cool tech. You see the Locket of the Iron Solari for Graves just to try and survive alongside the Bloodthirster. It is so difficult to try and kill this Graves. It was all on Meals to try and carry this one. Jackie kind of had a much silenter performance, a much more quiet performance. We weren't able to see the pop-offs that we've typically come to expect from Cloud9. And Immortals, they were rather resilient. Every single one of those dragon fights just barely tweaked on the back of someone like Meals. We saw that the gold really didn't get out of hand, but it was always in Immortals' back pocket. They were scaling. They were starting to get, continuing to be in advantage in the game. And it just blew up. And the game ended. And you saw the Nexus go down there. A fantastic game played by both of these teams, but something about that Cloud9 team felt that they felt a little bit off on that
Yeah.
one.
It started, a little more in their favor. And even though you had actually some really successful death sentences, some nice boxes, there were 0 kills for the Dragon lane of Cloud9. All they did was ended up, they did an okay job in laning phase. I don't think they went down in their own lane, but as soon as they moved out of that laning phase, it just didn't work out for them. They looked really sharp down in that Dragon lane. And then the mid lane, they kept having to come through and put pressure on this mid lane. Just to prevent Immortals from finding that third tower, from finding the first tier tower in each of those lanes. So it was a great job to stall out Immortals' pressure. But once that tower went down, Immortals it's like it clicked into gear and they said, okay, now we're in control again. It's like Immortals has this mentality. They recognize immediately when they have kind of thrown off the mentality of the other team into forcing them to really think that they're farther behind than they might be.
Immortals, we did it, boys! We just actually got word from one of our observers that is the first time on the broadcast that a lower seeded team has won a game against the higher seeded team. So impressive stuff, but they need to close out. Immortals, they want to try and take their revenge sweep against them. It looks like Cloud9 are going to be on blue side. Until I hear something different, I'm going to continue on with that. But Immortals, last time in the major, it was a close 2-1 victory with Cloud9 going on to be our third place team in that major. And this time around, I guess the rumors are true. Immortals look really sick, and they're my dark horse. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of enemies, so maybe I'm just having a lot of recency bias for these guys. But, I mean, Immortals look like the guys to go all the way.
Yep, totally. This is... this doesn't look like the lower bracket, just based on how well Immortals has been playing. And yes, it is Tribe making their way up through that upper bracket, but I absolutely can expect to see Immortals going into Tribe at some point here to try to take the crown away, because we've seen nothing but improvement from these guys. And then now with the addition of Charm, Goom and Charm, you think that they've been doing their whole lives, or at least as long as this game has been out, which, is what, like a year now? Has it been out that long? I don't even know anymore.
I think it's like
a little less than that.
Maybe it's like 8 months. It was released in 2020. I need to get the actual release date though. So you keep going. I'm gonna find this. October 27th. We're coming up
almost
on a year.
We're coming up on a year.
We're like 11 months.
We're getting close. Yeah. And so we're going to see a lot of these teams start to flesh out, just in the fact that, this game's been around for a year now. Hopefully it's getting a little bit more exposure. Hopefully a few more players are realizing that this might be something that they might enjoy as a mobile game. But man, when you see improvement like this from a whole team, from every single member, not just individual play, that's what we come to expect, from teams with names like Immortals behind them, teams with the name like Cloud9, like we've been talking about. But IMT, they found their step up, and they are not looking to lose that yet.
Think about how Charm has to be feeling right now. He got booted from the team, and they replaced him, and I mean, Charm is like, hey, I'm on a better team now. I made an upgrade. You guys are the ones that made the downgrade. You guys didn't make any kind of changes that were good for the team. I'm the one in charge. I'm finding my victory. And he's proving it too.
And now, what kind of support can say that too?
Yeah. Like, talk your ish, man. Like, go ahead. Yeah. Like, if you're a support player, you don't get a lot of time to be in the spotlight. Maybe you get to play these really cool engaged champions, but if you're on Nami, most of the time, if something is going right, you're not going to get a lot of praise for it. So, Charm, if you're watching the VOD for this, or if you're somehow getting the 5-minute delay and you're able to get that audio piped into your ears, keep going, dude. I got your back on this one. You guys, it has to be so gratifying that you get to be on Immortals, you get to be on another team, and you get to beat your former team. There's always a small bit of catharsis there for them.
Oh, especially when, when this whole thing started, all eyes were on Cloud9. Everyone's like, Tarzan can carry these games, and that's not the case anymore. You can't 1v9, you can't even 1v5 anymore, and we can see that coming through as Tarzan is really put to his wit's end as more of a champion pool is grown for a lot of these players. It's just they get more experience, more practice under their belts. So it's going to be Cloud9 once again on the blue side. We were right about that. It is Galio, Gragas, and Janna that they banned out. Immortals now on the red side, same as last game. Senna, Varus, and Xin Zhao. So the exact same bans from both sides, aside from the addition of Gragas as a ban and the removal of Rakan.
All right. Cloud9, do they just draft a lot of ability power and try to say, hey, I think what Cloud9 could do here is you pick your marksman, right? Varus is not available, but Xayah is still strong. You can pick maybe a Lucian. You can just go ahead and pick up Ziggs. With the Gragas ban, I wonder if they're trying to say, Araki Zoro, you're either going to play Camille or you're going to try and play something like Malphite. We saw the Akali once, and the fact that they had to substitute for their Rakan ban, imagine this, Charlie. Imagine the narrative bliss that you receive as Charm.
Oh,
you
yeah.
get your main champion in game 2 of a best of 3 to knock them out of the major.
Yep.
And you get to play Rakan.
There it is. I mean, they gave it up for Gragas. They gave up the Rakan ban to get the Gragas ban in there, to get it away from Araki Zoro. But Araki Zoro has plenty of champions that he could play, that he loves to play. And so to give Rakan over to Charm, oh my gosh, it's a sight to behold, really. I mean, of all players to do well on this one, but not just that, but really to blow things out of the water. I mean, the grand entrances and the quicknesses that we see from Charm are, it's chef's kiss.
It's so good. It's so good. There's a reason why this champion not only is banned in other series, most importantly, against Charm, it's known. You know this guy is going to play a mean Rakan. So the fact that it's gone through now, Cloud9, they need to have an answer. Leona is typically a good response into Rakan, but a little bit harder to play here on Wild Rift. And Cloud9, I wonder how cheeky they're going to get in draft. This time, they're not going to have the Jax. They're going to have themselves a Wukong a little bit more standard when it comes to trying to find a team fight. For Immortals, what is your answer? What are you going to pick up for mid lane that's going to answer the Ziggs? And are you going to pick up either your bot lane marksman or blind Araki Zoro's Baron matchup?
Which would totally be fine. You know, at this point, you had the Gragas picked up last time. Oh, they're going to get the combo. Please lock that in. I would absolutely love to see the lovers duo in lane. And yes, not just Xayah, who, I mean, you know I love Xayah as my main.
Yes.
I adore Xayah. I think she's so much better than a lot of people give her credit for because of her positioning. You have to actually you have to practice her. You have to be skilled and figure out, you know, your fancy footing to get to distract the enemy and throw down their feathers. And it looks like we might have an Orianna as well for me. And I don't like the Ahri. Okay. It's been the Ahri hover. I like the Orianna. Charmer. The Corki was also very, very helpful in that last one. So they're going to once again go for a squishy game. Orianna as the fourth pickup for Immortals. But I mean, squishy, short range, but they don't care. It worked for them last time. They're able to just get poked down and deal enough damage towards the later game to really reinforce another win.
It is definitely a harder mid lane matchup here for Immortals, where Corki can't really. Corki can cheat out a lot of priority. Oh, we're getting a Draven ban from Jackie. I'm gonna acknowledge it in a moment. But this mid lane matchup, the 2v2 is not that strong. Orianna can kind of clear waves. We're waiting for that team fight stage. When we get to objectives, the shock waves have to be on point for Hoon if they want to try and close out this series. And now Cloud9, they're gonna finish out their draft, but Jackie wants to go to an old main of theirs, and they want to slam the laning phase. Oh, Rakan's going in? Well, he's dead now.
Yep. And Renekton, that is a staple for Zello. I was talking about that beforehand. So it's not going to be the Renekton lock-in, of course, as I have to now erase things. It is instead going to be the Malphite lock-in. So a lot safer, a lot less counter ability. You can definitely easily counter Renekton, whereas with Malphite, since you're going more of a tanky style, more of just that initiator frontline, it's a lot less time before you need to really build stuff up. You need a lot less items before you can actually make a difference in other lanes here. And we'll likely see some roam, and it will be a hover right now on the Akali. Does Araki Zoro want to try to run it through again? Yes, it looks like it.
Okay. All right. I'm not the biggest fan of this. You have double AP for your AD jungler, which I'm okay with for your solo lanes. But against Malphite, this is a ticking time clock right now for Cloud9. They have so much scaling with the Ziggs and the Malphite, and I like that Leona can still operate in the same vein that you would want to, even in the later stages of the game. There's no tanks really here for Immortals. And Draven smashes early game so hard inside of the Dragon lane. It's going to be very dangerous here for Immortals. They need to get off to a really nice start. They have to make sure that this early game is not blown open. So Graves, expect for the junglers to try and cover this Dragon lane, either for objectives or trying to protect their lanes.
And you have to also, well, yes, there's a lot of opportunity for Cloud9 to get through, especially, you got the Mega Inferno bombs that were coming through. Were dealing so much damage last game. We have to expect the exact same thing from Meals on this one. But considering that the last matchup, Immortals, really the only tanky member they had was Gragas, who, just has some survivability. And then on the other side, you have Darius, same kind of, basically equivalent, maybe a little bit better than Gragas, just because of, the lifesteal that's available. Jax and Thresh. That's a lot of initiation. That's a lot of initiation and frontline. And Immortals were still able to outlast it. And so that is where Cloud9 really needs to find this lead, and they need to make it into something else. They need to play the Immortals game and say, all right, we're going to take one thing from you, or it feels like one thing. We're going to make it into 2 or 3 things by splitting up the team and aggressing in the proper direction. And I do think Immortals has the capacity to do that and outplay Cloud9. But I like this comp. I love you got the Draven, you got the counter pick into this bottom lane. You've got the Leona, but so it's going to be hard to be aggressive at the start of this one. But once you get Draven online, once you get those stacks building up, it's going to be a fun game for them down at the bottom in the Dragon lane. But like you mentioned, Graves is probably going to set up a tent right around that Dragon.
Please do.
Pit, just hang out over there, decide to support, just go back and forth between Dragon lane and the mid lane, and they can find some success.
I'm seeing this from Cloud9, and in theory, this should just be a wash for them. They have Ziggs, who makes Xayah's life very hard. You have, again, Ziggs, who makes even Akali's life difficult. But it doesn't even matter. If Immortals just smash this game, if Araki Zoro can prove that not only can they play the opposite extreme of playing a Malphite, can they play Akali in a potential final here? So important for them. So important that they can show these different styles. And honestly, they are going to need this momentum going up against the likes of Enemy and Try. Both of these teams being very, very dangerous. So whoever is the winner of this series, whether or not Cloud9 make the reverse sweep here in the best of 3, all eyes on them really to try and find something. They need to kind of find their wind. What is going to carry them into kind of a potential, looking for the North American Regional Championship berth. They want that win. You go to second place, you're going to get there.
Oh, they so want that win. And especially having so many fans for this team, not just for Cloud9, but particularly we see so much in chat for Tarzan. We see a lot of love for Meals. And so they want to remake a name for themselves. They basically held on to it. They were holding the trophy up a little too high at the start of this all. So now it's time to, build up those arm muscles again so you can hoist that thing back up over your head.
Come on, guys. I believe. If you're an Immortals fan, you have to be feeling it. You have to feel a little bit of sweat going down the back right now, because this is definitely a hard to execute composition. Not a lot of tools to engage, not a lot of tools to look for fights, and very squishy when you look at Cloud9. But if you're a Cloud9 fan, you're holding hope. You're saying, guys, you have a better composition. It's much cleaner. It's much easier to play. Just play it out. You don't need to go for anything fancy. And especially if you're Cloud9, you're looking for 2 wins here. They're going for an engage now.
What a blade caller. That's going to lock down both members there, but it's going to force a flash out of Goom. And those autos do just too dang much. First blood going over to Jackie.
What are they doing, guys? This is a Draven, especially with how strong Leona is at level 2. That is exactly the kind of kill range. I like the start of the fight where you get the knockup onto Jackie. But, I mean, it just goes as expected, especially with how worth First Blood is in terms of gold. That is a massive win for them. They now have a 2-level lead. They crashed the wave under the turret, and they're going to be able to reset and come out that much stronger out of the map. Let's see what the first purchase is here. I mean, you're going to get Bloodthirster now for a Jackie. This is so difficult to play.
Yep, Bloodthirster. They've got the Vamp Scepter and the Longsword, so already started with some good progress, some solid extra damage, and some extra survivability with that Vamp lifesteal. What is it? Vamp.
Wow.
We'll just call it just Vamp.
Vamp.
The ping's
Wham.
coming out though, as the recognition. Hey, shaded talent not along, so there's a lot of pressure on the bottom side in favor of Immortals here. Cloud9, we can see the separation come off in recognition. Okay, we can't let plates go down here. We can't let Jackie fall too far behind because this is certainly a member that we need to get fed in this game. And I just like from C9, even this composition based on the last one, you had so much attack damage in the last one. Much better split of damage from Cloud9 in this comp.
Thankfully, this time, right? Like, you also have, so you're going up against Graves, where Graves is really good into armor. He has a bit of stats. Same thing with Wukong, actually.
Yes.
Does very well into a lot of ranged matchups, but I mean, one person's going to be building Black Cleaver. More than likely, it's going to be Tarzane, and it's just going to be so obnoxious to deal with. The gold has about evened out, though. A lot of it is now kind of put into the experience range, where Jackie's almost level 6. They already have their ultimate available. They're just waiting for Shaded Talent to finish off, get level 5, get their ultimate, and then it becomes so difficult. On repeat, they can just gank this lane and use their ultimates to make sure that no one can access this. It's 3 minutes, which means we're getting ready to fight for Dragon, but Wukong is here. Maybe we see an early engage.
There it is. Oh my gosh, Charm gets too far in, ends up having to flash away from this one. There's going to be the quickness coming out, landing on 3 members, but it will be enough damage. Yeah. Oh my goodness, the recon goes down, and Goom trying to escape, says maybe I'm out, but right into Meals and Jackie. A nice shock.
What are they doing?
Try to prevent that fight, but it's going to be yet another kill going over to Cloud9. They didn't lose a single member.
Cloud9 just looks too good. That also was a pretty sick dive. Oh my god, I saw the flash on the mini-map. They had the ward in the bush. He gets the kill onto Meals. Good job from Hoon to try and even out, get themselves on the board for kills. But that was a really well-played bait from the Dragon Lane duo of Cloud9. They send 2 members in front of the tribe bush. They don't know that Wukong is there. Yikes. Don't think I didn't see that. Don't think I didn't see you just miss the dash over the walls, Graves. We all make the mistake, but
you gotta call it out, I suppose.
Yeah, we gotta call it out, though. Yep.
They are going to start this one up. A lot of damage. Doesn't look like Cloud9 is going to get there in time to do anything. So they decide, all right, we'll give you over the Rift Herald. We're going to take this Infernal Dragon, though, and that's a good one to start things off this team.
I like this trade for Immortals. Like, it looks good for C9, the fact that they're still ahead, but Rift Herald is such a good way to cheat early priority and get a lot of gold for relatively cheap. And that's why Ziggs is so important in these series. We're seeing it just basically used as an instant wave clear. But with so much gold now being invested into Akali, this is another game, Jolly, where Baron lane carry players need to actually pop off and give that return on investment.
We'll see if they're able to do that. It was an Infernal Drake, so that feels pretty good for Cloud9. Of all the dragons you want to get as much damage down as possible right now onto Immortals, because of how squishy they are, because of their lack of frontline. If you can, get the quickness out of Charm, if you can get the big crowd control abilities out of Immortals, Cloud9 is going to be able to just kind of run into whatever fight they want and offer crowd control of their own. But the problem is, you can go in with Zella, you can go with the Unstoppable Force, you can go in with Tarzane on the Cyclone, but if you immediately get quickness with the Charm, I mean, that's the end of your ultimate right there, So Meals is really going to be the one who has the most impactful ulti, and it's going to be Cloud9 trying to pry stuff out of Immortals for a little bit. Tarzane does go in right there, trying to take away this blue buff, and it's the whole team that is there. The ultimate is used. I do believe that Graves was able to pick that one up, actually.
Tarzane's got blue buff. Tarzane got it.
It was so close.
It's a try. It's an attempt. I like it. I like the thought of it. Yeah, because I don't really know if you want to dash into Malphite of all people, because here comes the team fight.
It's a team fight. There's the Solar Flare to come out as well. It will be Malphite picking up the one kill, getting
Jackie's
very low.
Dead,
dies in turn. Rakizoro trying to run away from this one, tries to get over the wall, dies in the process. A nice killing spree there for Tarzane as the Cyclone came out and going to continue on with this fight, trying to get Hoon, but a little too much damage from the tower means he has to disconnect from this one. That means that Charm and Goom are going to try to re-engage on that. It will be a nice grand entrance. Goom is going to use the Battle Dance. Charm is going to use the Battle Dance to keep Goom alive, and Immortals, it started to look bad, and it was kind of an even fight in the overall.
It was bad, and then it was good, and then it was kind of iffy, and then we were like, huh? Goom just carries that entire fight for his team. They stop Jackie, they get a kill onto them, and it looks a little bit questionable from Cloud9 as to whether or not they were going to be able to win that. Meals was pumping out damage. The fact that they find that, a lot of kills. Can Xayah carry this? Charm and then finally find it. Zello might be saying goodbye.
Definitely looks like it. That's a lot of damage coming out from Iraqi Zoro, and it's very hard to get.
Oh, wait a minute.
A beautiful blade collar, but it's not enough to actually lock down Jackie and get the kill. Ooh, and
That's
Jackie
so important. Can they get the reset?
Too.
They need to be able to leave.
Woo! Meals needed to throw something a little bit earlier if they actually wanted to stop that recall from going through.
I'm actually surprised about this. So they're putting a lot of priority on trying to finish off this mid lane turret, but that could have just been the Dragon Lane tier 1 gone. They're trying to find engage Charm.
Oh, a shockwave is beautiful. Charm manages to get out just fine after using the quickness and the ignite. But Tarzan stays alive as well.
Important ults. It is 30 seconds before the Drake, and there is no flash. There's not going to be an ultimate. There's no Cyclone from Tarzan. But key ones are coming up for Immortals, so need to watch and see what they're able to pull off. The Featherstorm will be up by the time this Drake, probably by the time the Drake fight ends. So if they can try to stall this out, Immortals are going to be looking nice and ready for this fight, but you need to actually be in position. Looks like Cloud9, first to the play. They're just going to give this up. You already see Xayah is making a recall here.
And you've got Iraqi Zoro in the Baron side, looking at taking down a second tower for themselves, giving them another lead. Should be able to get it with the follow-up wave, but no, is actually just going to disconnect after that one.
Heyo.
There is the bomb coming out from Meals just to prevent Akali from getting any more pressure on that top side. Playing it very, very smart as well. Iraqi Zoro backing off there, recognizing, all right, I definitely shouldn't stay and try to get this tower. There's been a disconnect. Cloud9 has already gotten that dragon. They're going to initiate right there. The grand entrance coming from Charm. Going to use the battle dance to get back onto the backside. And in comes the Cyclone, the Draven ultimate as well. Yikes, getting too dang low. No. The Ignite will do it. Charm has the quickness set up.
Look
and that's
at Charm.
Going to be a kill for Charm. Trying to get back on the other
Iraqi
side.
Zoro.
It's going to be another kill for Jackie, who goes down immediately after Iraqi Zoro. Split from the rest of the team, but able to do so much damage. And now it's Goom and Iraqi Zoro trying to take down Zello and Talent, and that's going to be a lot of damage. Not enough, and no blade collar to come through for Goom to be able to save the life of Iraqi Zoro there. Only one member left alive. I think it's a 4-3 in the overall in favor of
That is
C9.
so good. That is so good, though. If you're looking at Immortals, the fact that they're able to blow up so many of the other members, yes, their tanks are alive, and honestly, it's kind of funny to see Shaded Talents on this Leona just 1v1ing Akali, but she spent so much of her HP trying to not only kill Meals, but also finish off the kill onto Jackie. They traded the most important members, and it kind of just stops Cloud9 from continuing to bludgeon Immortals over the head with what they're doing in the game, because Jackie right now is just getting picked off constantly. If that fight was a little bit slower from Immortals, I think they could have potentially even gone out with with a more dominant win on that one. Cloud9 are still looking strong. They may be looking for a play onto Yikes here, but their standard teamfight team is looking good, except when fights go long enough where the ultimates are no longer available and many of the members of Immortals are able to set up.
Yep, exactly.
Yikes, run.
You also have to consider, though, that Cloud9, there was a pretty considerate gold lead, at least a couple thousand in favor of Immortals. And, now it's less than 1,000 here. So Cloud9 finding everything they can to give themselves a little bit of an edge. Yikes is getting jumped on here by Tarzan, but in comes Charm.
Teleporting. They want to fight.
Teleport as well. Redemption comes through.
Oh,
a shockwave on top of the quickness. Will it be enough as the Cyclone comes through? It's a force flash out of Hoon. Yikes trying to re-engage, has to dash away. Goom gets there maybe just in time to get the damage down that's necessary. And yes, we'll take down Tarzan. Zello manages to find the one kill onto Yikes, but gets taken down in response. It ends up being a 3-for-2 in favor of Immortals.
Dude, just ban Charms or Khan. You can't do this anymore, guys. It's not legal. You shouldn't be able to allow this. It should just be a permanent rule. I'm pretty sure it's in the rule book. If you want to lose, go ahead. You get a game loss for trying to play against Charms or Khan. He finds a massive shockwave for Hoon. You just see the entirety of the damage. Graves spent as much time as possible trying to be alive, but with that engage, IMT just find a massive team fight victory. We'll have to see. All it does is give them a little bit of gold. There's no objectives to fight for. They protect that tier 2 turret from Cloud9. And still, the mid turret is available. As soon as one of these turrets in the mid lane falls for either team, you have to expect that the game is going to swing heavily in their favor. 20 seconds before the next Drake, and it is a massive one. You can see how both of them are prepping for it, and you can kind of feel some of that tension in the air. If they fight for this, it could be the fight that decides the entire game.
We'll see whose favorite goes in. Immortals has been trying to set these fights up in a way where, Cloud9, either they wait for Cloud9 to get most of the damage onto the objective, or they begin the objective and they just start using it as a bait. So it looks like Cloud9's going to get the jump onto this one. It's a split fight for Immortals, but they're going to go in right there. The quickness onto the back line. A big charm, a big blade collar, and there's a big shockwave on top of it to get Zello and Tarzane on the backside. But Zoro takes a lot of damage in the meantime. It will be the dragon going over to Tarzane, who's the only member left alive.
God.
And that's how it's going to end. Immortals find themselves a successful fight. They're going to move over to the Baron now.
I want anybody who's ever called Rocky Zoro a one-trick Malphite player to eat their words. This guy just got a quadra kill against Cloud9 and has put his team on his back. They did lose the Drake, so Cloud9 have to be scaling in some instances there. But the amount of gold that they just received, I swear Baron is so disgusting in its damage. I mean, Immortals are looking so strong. Who locks down Akali when there's not enough point-and-click CC? You have to try and stun the Rakan, and you're just investing it into so many different members of Immortals. They have a small gold lead for themselves, but now with Baron, you have to see that mid turret, knock knock, who's there? Cloud9 need to be able to answer.
They certainly do. Now that it has been taken down, now that they've really got an official lead, that's going to help them because the Elder Dragon is going to be the next to spawn. Last thing that Immortals wants is for Cloud9 to get a little bit more leverage for themselves to help recover a little bit of, the loss that they've experienced, or the gold lead that Immortals has secured for themselves. So it's going to be Akali trying to set up on this one. Prepping, Vision, prepping the bottom lane, the Dragon lane, to have some damage onto a charm is going to get jumped on. It will be the Solar Flare that comes out, the redemption on top of it. The quickness is not able to be used. There it is. The quickness followed up with an ultimate from Draven. So much damage as Goom finds one, maybe another. The Shockwave doing a lot, but Araki Zoro is going to help out Goom, who is an absolute god. It is not just Oon here. It is not just Araki Zoro here. Goom says, "Hey, you know what? I know you like Zaya Jolly. Let's make you proud," and you absolutely did, Goom.
They did it.
The end of the game. Immortals. Absolutely. Immortals have closed it out. 15 minutes, a lot shorter game for the second one, but no game 3 for you, Cloud9, and no more Major 2.
Wow, they come out swinging, and it was looking dicey, but Araki Zoro carries them for the first couple of fights, and you saw Goom uninhibited in a lot of these. Doesn't have to really worry about it. Similar to that Ezreal performance, we get to see it again. Araki Zoro getting the MVP for this game. I mean, he just put on an extreme carry performance to help his team through the mid game because it was looking dicey. We saw that Ziggs 4 meals was so impactful, that Tarzan Cyclones were there, but wasn't able to come through in the end. And we get 2 quadras in one game, and for the same team, that has to basically lock you in for a win at that point.
Oh, yeah, that and, also style points, I believe. And while we're looking at this, too, I have to commend, while you might not consider it, Yikes, because Yikes that whole game recognized, all right, I'm basically bait for Zello. That's almost entirely what Zello was going for. A good portion of the Cyclones and a good portion of the Unstoppable Forces came out to try to get Yikes out in these fights. So he was more of a sacrificial lamb for the rest of the team to stay alive. And when you don't have a front line, that's the way that you have to do things. So we can see there the gold was dipping in favor of Immortals. There was a little bit of a comeback. We were talking about Cloud9 with that fight around the Baron pit, but as soon as we hit about that 13-minute mark, as soon as it was the objectives for focus, you had Immortals getting a clean sweep, able to pick up the Dragon and the Baron, and then get a lot of pressure on top of it. But positioning for the whole team was immaculate. Cloud9, you fought hard. I love to see Jackie do as well as he did on the Draven. But at the end of the day, it was positioning, it was priority, and it was a lot of cohesion within the Immortals team that led them to victory here. I do think I want to get Charm. Yeah, I want to get Charmer's input on this.
There he is. There he is.
Oh, you want my input, huh? Well, the second game, it started a bit sloppy for Immortals. I got to be honest, I was a little worried. Their opening bits looked like they were getting bullied quite a bit by Cloud9, but there was a moment where I remember just thinking to myself, okay, Immortals woke up, and it was when Charm started playing much better. Hume was getting some good skirmishes, and then obviously Iraqi Zoro was just going bonkers, but they got bullied quite a bit early, so I want to give Cloud9 some credit there. However, this is a really big win for Immortals because not only does it keep them in the tournament and gets them one win away from that regional berth, but also this is the first time in the entire bracket, day 1 and day 2, where a lower seeded team has won. So this is the first time that an underdog has gotten a victory, and they've beaten Cloud9. They're moving on. So big credit to Immortals. I'm sure Charm feels really good right now, getting a little bit of revenge here after swapping sides. But yeah, I just felt like overall Immortals played cleaner, with the exception of that start in game 2. Game 2, like I said, a little bit sloppy at the start, but once they cleaned things up, they were looking very, very good.
Oh, that was just beautiful. And I mean, now they get to move on with their revenge story, not only for Charm, but again, in the last major, they got beat by Cloud9, and they were the ones, Cloud9 were the ones to move on to try and face enemy. And now Immortals, they want to throw their hat in the ring. They want to see if they can take down our top 2 from last major. Such a fantastic story for them, and I'm so excited for this team now. Since the first show that from the first game that we saw from them yesterday, I was excited for this team, and I was looking for them to be my dark horse, and I'm glad to see that they have made it all the way through.
Yeah, and you know, you got to consider too, because looking at the previous matchups, you had Immortals go into Tribe Gaming, it was a 2-0. You had Enemy going into Tribe Gaming, it was a 2-0. So just the expectation of both of these teams getting to Tribe, and obviously faltering because really no other team is quite on Tribe's level at the moment. But this has got to be, I mean, I'm disappointed that we're not going to be on for this one, because this has got to be one of the best matchups with the growth that we've seen in Immortals and the oppression that we've seen from the start of this major coming from Enemy. This is bound to be a game number 3. Please, no more sweeps.
Well, we're going to find out whether that's the case after a short break. So we're going to take a moment so the teams can kind of regroup. And when we come back from the short break, we're going to be seeing Immortals taking on Enemy in the lower bracket finals for that chance to go on face Tribe in the grand finals. But also, again, a lot on the line, because the winner of this, regardless of how they do against Tribe, will get that guaranteed berth in the regional championship. So don't go anywhere. More Wild Rift when we come back.